Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's webinar. It's really great to see so many people. My name's Laura, and I'll be hosting the webinar tonight. And I just want to introduce Cynthia very quickly before I hand over to her. Cynthia is the co-founder of the Awaken Life Project, which is based here in Portugal and has members all over the world. And Cynthia has been my spiritual teacher for over 10 years now, and never ceases to amaze me how she can convey really profound spiritual truths, but make them relevant and accessible for all of us in our lives. So if you have the opportunity or the desire to ask questions later in the webinar, don't hesitate. And with that, I'll hand over to you, Cynthia.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see all of you. It feels like a very long time. Hi, Maya. It's been a really long time since I've seen you. Yeah, it's good to see you. And Lapo also. And Albert, it's been a while. I keep forgetting it's been a while because I didn't do the last two webinars, but it seems like a really long time for all of you. So it's nice coming back together, you know, for a Christmas webinar, even though we're not going to talk about Christmas probably, unless somebody wants to. Okay, so why don't we just start off with a short meditation, and then we'll just jump in. So everybody make sure you're sitting up straight. Your shoulders are relaxed. Take a deep breath in through your nose, allowing your belly to relax, and allow yourself to exhale and relieve any stress or tension that you might be feeling. And again, breathing in and exhale, release and relax. And again, a big deep breath in through the nose and feel the air coming into the body. Appreciate it. And as you exhale, allow the exhale to just relax and soothe your whole being. So continue on your own. You can do a few more deep breaths if you want to. Or you can just allow yourself to breathe more normally, but still allow your body to expand as you're breathing. Appreciate the breath coming into the body. Appreciate the aliveness of the body. Appreciate the awareness that you have of the body breathing. Allow your attention to relax and expand. You may be smelling something. You may be hearing something. You may feel the coolness of the air or the warmth of the heat. But just be aware that you are aware. Relax and recognize that you are the witness of maybe the movement of mind, of the sensation of the body, but you're also witnessing everything around you. And if you allow your attention to relax, you'll recognize that you are that which is aware, that which is prior to, body you normally call you. You allow yourself to recognize that you are aware of the sound of my voice, the movement of mind, sound, feeling of joy, or maybe the feeling of agitation and tension. Maybe you're aware of everything at once, and maybe you're aware of the silence where everything arises from. So sit, let the body be still. Don't try to change any aspect of your experience. You're not trying to have an empty mind. You're not trying to have a tension-free body. You're not trying to have an enlightened experience. You're not trying to change anything about your experience. It doesn't matter if the mind is crazy and very busy. It really doesn't matter if you have tension in the body. It doesn't matter if you feel good or you feel bad. The only thing that matters is you recognize that you are that which is aware of all of it. So freedom lies in that recognition, the recognition of your own expansion, not as an individual, but of the all that is everything. It's a change of perception. And as you recognize this, you also recognize there's a body mind named you that has a history, that thinks it has a problem, that thinks a lot of things. But that's just another object that's arising in your awareness. It's no different than your cat or the chair that you're sitting on. All objects are equal. They are all just objects arising in your awareness as yourself. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be anyone. Everything just is exactly as it is. And it's all an object arising in your awareness. Judgment is just a thought. Sensation is just a feeling. So relax and be exactly who you already are. Free from everything. Doesn't matter what kind of thoughts arise. Whether it's a thought that says you're doing everything wrong or that you're doing everything right. It's just a thought arising in awareness as yourself. Okay, why don't you take a deep breath in through your nose, expanding the body, allowing the breath to just enliven you. And when you exhale, appreciate the space. And inhale. And exhale. And one last time, inhaling. And as you exhale, allow yourself to open your eyes. I always like doing these meditations at the beginning of the webinar, and sometimes I feel like we could just keep going. And sometimes I wonder if I just kept going, what you guys would do. If you would start thinking that your sound was off or something was wrong. I might think that if I was you. Anyway, I've never done that, so I guess I don't know until I try. So here we are in the last month of 2021. I was thinking today, this is, there's a lot that's happened, and one thing that came to me, it's the first full year that we've been dealing with this whole COVID thing. Because it started in 2020, but it wasn't the whole year. So that's just kind of interesting to take note, because I think, when we look back over this year, obviously, we've all been affected by whatever's happened around this situation, whether it be the fact that maybe you had COVID, maybe you knew people who had COVID, maybe people that you know passed away, maybe lots of things. And it's not, I'm not going to go into everybody's opinion about anything, but it's just interesting that in a certain way, this situation that we're in, it has the capacity to divide us, but it also has the capacity to unite us. And it can even unite us in the fact that we're just in something together, even if we completely disagree about, everything. So that's kind of interesting, I think, that such a thing can actually unite us. And it's, and of course it can divide us, but we're united in the fact that we're in it together. So I just think that's very positive. Also, I think it's really important, that we take the time to look back over this year, and we look at, and we're very clear at what we've learned, what we've understood, what we felt, the joys that we've experienced, the freedom that you might have experienced, the pain you might have experienced, the challenge you might have experienced. In a certain way, this last year is no different than any other year, because we always have a variety of experience as human beings here on this planet. And usually they're all kind of in the same categories: joy, freedom, pain, sadness, confusion, fear. If everybody had a piece of paper, we could all write down a sum and hold it up, and I bet you we'd have a lot of things that happen every year. And so circumstances are different in different years, but how we respond to those circumstances, there's a very limited kind of a response, because fear is fear. It's always, it's arising, it's falling away, but it's fear. We all know what it is, and maybe there's variations of it. Joy, we know what it is, but there's variations of it. So in a certain way, it's the same kind of emotions that are arising every year. And we have different intensity of emotion depending on the circumstance that we're in. But I don't know if you guys have noticed that this year has been a very intense year, but it's been intense in all parameters, very high, highs of joy, freedom, happiness, excitement, just moments of bliss. Maybe if you're playing in a band, like Arnaldo, I'm thinking of you, and you're doing a performance and something's amazing, or you're at a retreat, or, you're just with a person that you love and you care about, and something happens that's just, touches you and opens your heart and stays with you. And there's this incredible joy. And then on the flip side, there's pain, there's sadness, there's confusion. But what I find really interesting about this, and it's really the teaching that I talk about, is, it's all the process. It's a process of awakening that's going on. And I think it's really important to recognize that, because otherwise we can label the so-called good things as good things, and we can disregard the things that we would call as bad things. And we would, we kind of look at the bad things, don't really want to dwell on those. We look at the good things because they make us feel good. But when you recognize that the good things and the bad things are all part of the process, and the good things won't happen unless you face into the so-called bad things. And with that, if you have good things and you have bad things, you have certain quality of feeling that goes along with good things, and you have certain quality of feeling that goes on with so-called bad things. But if you give yourself to not avoiding any aspect of the experience that you're having, and you allow yourself to feel, then you're going to recognize whether it's a so-called good thing or a so-called bad thing. You're going to recognize that the source of all of it is something prior to, that transcends any label that's limited by saying something is good and something is bad. When you think of good and bad, it's so small. It's so limiting. If you go with good and bad, the good things you're trying to hold on to, the bad things you're trying to get rid of. But in the sense, if you allow yourself to feel all of it, then what you end up feeling is you end up feeling the essence of love. Because all things are arising from the same source, including, your crazy mind, including thought, including, anger, including all of it. And so what I've really learned in this year, I've learned a lot of things. Don't have time to talk about all of them. But what I have learned is that there's a way that I can feel, and I can have a perspective on something. And with that perspective, I can rise above any situation, any intensity. And I can go beyond a small sense of self or go beyond a limited view. And I've done that for years and years and years. And it's very liberating. But what I learned this year is unless I'm willing to fully means fully feel, then what I'm doing actually is I'm managing whatever it is that I'm feeling to whatever degree. So when I say managing, it still means that there's someone in there that's saying, this is enough. This is all I can take. This is all I can allow myself to feel at this moment. And in that moment, it feels like that's all I can take. And I think everybody recognizes that when you open up to something like heartache, if someone dies, if something happens in your life and it's just incredibly painful and you feel like you're going to just explode and you can't take anymore, there's a way that we can just say, okay, I can't take anymore. And then there's also a way that as we learn and as we grow and as we recognize ourselves to be that which is prior to the limited body, mind, and everything that goes along with it, there's a moment when we get to this place where we say we can't take it anymore. Then we don't move. And we feel beyond the limitation that we were imposing on ourselves. And then all of a sudden, you're not feeling the situation in the moment. You're feeling the depth of feeling. So I'll just use fear as an example. You can use anything as an example. You could use love as an example. Doesn't matter. You can use whatever it is for you. But it's very interesting. If you use love, let's use love. That's a little bit more interesting to look at. I think everybody can relate that, it's very difficult to be wide open to love, right? We have all sorts of reasons why we're unlovable. We can't receive love. We're just contracted. There's something wrong with us, whatever it happens to be. So it's very difficult to open up to love because love will basically shatter the sense of, your separate sense of self. It'll shatter any limitation that you're placing upon yourself. It will break your heart wide open and you won't know who you are. Because who you are usually is what you think and the limitations that you place on what is possible. That's usually how we define ourselves. And we don't think about it that way, like, oh, I'm just a ball of limitations. We don't really think of ourselves that way. But when you actually open up and you go beyond the limitation where you think you can't take any more love, and you open up to it and you just hang in there, you don't know what you're doing, you're just letting go and you're just like not moving. And then all of a sudden, you disappear as a separate sense of self, but you're completely awake and alert, enlivened, and blown apart. And then love is just love, but it's not you feeling love, like, oh, thank God I finally feel something. It's just love. Because there's no reflection coming back to tell the separate sense of self anything, because in that moment that you fully feel, it completely obliterates that idea that you are a separate. So the key word is separate sense of self, because you still have a sense of self, but you're just not separate. So the reason I'm saying this is because when we live in a world of intensity, and things might get more intense in 2022, but we've had some good training, we've had some good training, and we're not, and what if we looked at 2022 and even the rest of 2021, since it's only December 1st, what if we looked at it as just a continuous opportunity to be alive? Whether you feel good or you feel bad, or you're afraid or you're excited. What if you just took the opportunity to just say, no matter what, I'm going to live? And you don't know what that looks like. And maybe that includes doing things that you've never done before. Maybe doing things that you've been afraid to do. And it can be simple little things. So what I've learned in this year is I do a lot of things that a lot of people would be afraid to do, like doing a webinar, for example. Like for me, this isn't that hard, or teaching a retreat or whatever. But for me, what I found this year that was very liberating, but also very challenging, especially the first time I did it, is just to go out on the road and travel around by myself. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people on the call probably like, well, I've traveled the world all by myself. I go backpacking by myself. I do this by myself. For me, it was a new thing. I've never done, I've traveled a lot, but I'm always traveling with somebody. But I did it by myself. And I can't tell you how weirdly simple and liberating and happy I was just driving in my car. Her name's Fabia. So me and Fabia just on the road. So you could say I'm with somebody because I'm with Fabia, but she doesn't talk very much. So I felt like I was by myself. But, and just very little, very, very simple things where I feel I find myself not allowing myself to be happy and free. Again, very simple things, walking down a street. I was in Burgos, Spain, and was trying to find my hotel after I couldn't make my GPS work, and I kept getting lost. And I think I talked to 12 Spanish people and nobody spoke English, but everybody was really nice. And eventually I just ran into the street that I've been looking for and ended up walking down the street to go to my hotel. And all of a sudden I realized I'm actually on part of the Camino de Santiago, because they had these shells going down the middle of the road. And I'd never walked the Camino before. So I'm like going, oh my God, I'm walking the Camino, even though I'm going like 3 blocks or something, but I'm still walking the Camino, and as I'm walking the Camino, I'm thinking, I want to buy, I've been wanting to get earphones for my phone, but I never do it because I'm always like, oh, I'll get it later. I'll do it later. And I'm walking down the street. I see this phone shop, with all the earphone stuff. And I'm like, my first impulse was, I'll do it later. I said, no, I'm going to do it now. And just stopping and going into the store and buying earphones and not putting it off. It was just a moment of me allowing myself to be happy in a way that I don't usually let myself do, just because I allowed myself to do what I wanted to do, which was just buy these stupid earphones. Unfortunately, I bought earphones from my phone and from my computer, and the ones from my computer didn't work, but I can't take them back because I bought them in Burgos. It's too far. But you get what I'm saying? So this is what I mean. It's like, what does it mean to live the rest of 2021 and next year, 2022? What does it mean to live and be open, not to be heavy, not to be restricted, not to be afraid, not to be superior, not to be inferior, not to be, just not to be anything in particular. And at the same time, and this is the interesting bit, at the same time, allowing yourself to fully feel. Feeling fear, feeling joy, feeling love, feeling it all. It's super important because we don't have to wait for big occasions. We have opportunities every day. And it's very interesting what life actually is when you just think about, I'm going to be alive now and I'm going to do right now what I want to do. And maybe you have to, maybe you're going to work, maybe you have children. So obviously there's things that you have to do, but also you're doing these things because you want to do them, because you want to get the benefits from whatever you're doing, or you had children, so you want to take care of them. But how you do them can change drastically. And it's not just some kind of self-improvement program to try to do them better or try, it's just to be present with whatever it is that you're doing. And then what you'll notice is the things that you hold yourself back in ways that you hold yourself back. And then just stop holding yourself back. It's very simple. If you want to tell your children or your partner that you love them, and you think, God, I really want to say I love them, then say it. Just say it. It's very simple. You want to look in the mirror and look at yourself and just go, wow, I'm just going to look at myself. Because I think a lot of us, we avoid looking at ourselves in the mirror. I mean, we kind of do a graze sometimes, or we'll look, but we'll be looking at specific things. Maybe women are trying to put makeup on or whatever they're doing, or men are doing whatever they're doing. I don't know what they do, but but we're kind of on drive-bys, right? We're on a drive-by mirror experience instead of just like, I'm here, I'm going to just look. What's in there? Sometimes I do this and it's kind of interesting because I don't, it's not something I do very often, but when I just do it, I just find it very interesting. I can't even tell you what happens, but I'm not doing it so something happens. I'm just doing it because why not? Because also when you look in the mirror and you really look at yourself, you have to really look at yourself. You actually really look and you go, who is that? Who is this person right now? I mean, we can do it right in the screen because it's kind of like a mirror, like, who are you? Who are you and why are you here? And you don't even have to answer the question. You can even look at all your wrinkles and you can go, wow, I haven't really noticed those before. I was completely shocked when I got glasses because I put my glasses on and all of a sudden I found wrinkles. And I thought, oh my God, I just got wrinkles. And then I realized, no, I just got glasses and I'm seeing what's been there all along. But for me, I thought the wrinkles just popped out, but it was just kind of interesting. So I'm saying these things and it sounds kind of silly, maybe not all that spiritual or whatever, but I'm telling you, if you're present and you're willing to love and you're willing to live, there's nothing more spiritual than that. You can allow yourself to be angry. Why? Because if you don't allow yourself to be angry, you're always holding back. Now, of course, there's ways to express anger that you don't create any karma with anyone, but it's important that we allow ourselves to be angry. So my dog, Sam, he's getting very old and his legs aren't working that well. And he's very challenging because sometimes he just whines and cries and he keeps me up all night. And last night was one of those nights. And, there's nothing I could do. And he would just do it. And sometimes I actually thought he was dying last night because he would just kind of look like he was very lethargic, but he just kept crying. And then this morning, it was like 7:42 and I finally just gave up with the idea of sleep. And I went and I fed him. So I got his bowl and I'm like, okay, Sam, got to go outside, because he's big and he sleeps inside now because he's old. And I'm like, got to go outside. So, you would think after crying all night, there's probably something wrong with him. And he just pops up, no problem, goes to the door, goes out and eats his food. And yeah, he's wobbly and hobbly and stuff, but he didn't hold back. And I'm just like, You kept me up all night. I'm thinking you're dying. And now you're popping up and you're ready to go out and eat food. So, but I was angry because he was keeping me up all night. And it was true. And then he knew I was upset. And then I'm thinking, Sam, I got a webinar tonight. So you can't just sit there and cry. So everybody's hearing you cry all the time because Laura's not here. She's not going to be able to sneak out of the room and get you. I'm here on my own. And I got a dog out there. And what's he going to do? But I tell you, after I really told him, like, get out of the house, he came back in and he's actually very calm and quiet and sweet. He's being very good. But I tell you, it felt really good for me to just like allow myself to just be like, because that was my experience. Of course, I didn't make him feel like I hated him or anything, but my experience was I definitely just wanted to throw him out the window. Everybody knows that experience, right? And if you don't have a dog, if you have kids, I'm sure many parents have wanted to throw their children out of the house on multiple occasions. So we don't have to be afraid of having this human experience. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We have to do just the opposite. We have to be willing to feel this ridiculous experience that we're in because we're in these ridiculous bodies doing ridiculous things because there's nothing else to do. We're just here. If we're here, we have fingers, we have hands, we have feet, we have whatever. So we have to do something. But are we going to do it from a place of being present, being alive, being free, being happy, being engaged? That's the point. So that's what everybody can do better. I guarantee all of us can do better on that. Would everybody agree with me? I mean, we're not getting any younger. Did you notice? And even if you're young, you're not getting any younger. It doesn't matter how young you are, you ain't getting any younger. And pretty soon when you get to be older, you're going to feel like time goes by really quick. It's still the same kind of time, but your relationship to it is very different. So everybody needs to be as live as they possibly can. And I think 2022 and the rest of 2021 is a really good opportunity to do that. Every day, starting the rest of December 1st. See, it's so simple. It's so demanding. It's so demanding for human beings just to be present and to be happy. It's so easy for us to be distracted and unhappy. It's the easiest thing in the world to be distracted and unhappy. We can even be distracted by trying to be happy instead of just being happy. Because happiness is our true nature, whether you like it or not. Everybody knows what I'm talking about? You see, and you can even be happy. You can recognize that pure happiness, even if you're angry at the truth that you're already happy. That might just really piss you off. What do you mean I'm already happy? Are you kidding me? Don't you understand I have problems? Don't you understand I feel emotions? Don't you understand I'm really angry a lot of the time? Right? But you see, it doesn't matter how angry you are. You can recognize that underneath the essence of your being is happiness. And if you can get more and more grounded in that, the weird thing is you can allow yourself to feel more and more, not only more happiness, but you can also allow yourself to feel more anger and more fear and all the things that you think you're not supposed to feel. But it's actually just the opposite, because the process we're in is actually a process of purification, and all of us carry stuff. And just denying that you carry stuff doesn't make the stuff go away. And you don't have to get overly fascinated with your stuff, because the absolute truth is you are that which is prior to the stuff, and you are always already free and happy. But if you don't allow yourself to feel, you're never going to be able to rest in the truth of what I just said. So the beautiful part is, you see, is that it's already the case. You don't have to create happiness. You don't have to create freedom. It's always already the case. All we have to do is just stop being, stop pushing it away. Stop taking a position that you have a problem, or taking a position that you're not good enough, or taking whatever position that you might be taking, because free means free from all position. Free means free, holding on to nothing. I have a problem is not this, it's this. You see what I mean? So that's what our challenge is. That's what we need. And I tell you, we need it more than ever. We've always needed it, excuse me. But we really need it more than ever in these times that we're living in, where there's just an intensity right now. And the impulse to separate is stronger than ever now. And it's, you just have to recognize it. It doesn't matter what side of the fence that you're on with this whole thing that we're all in. It doesn't matter what side of the fence that you're on. It only matters if you don't impose a fence. That's the only thing that matters, is don't separate, don't divide. It doesn't matter if you have a different view on everything. Just don't separate, don't divide. It doesn't mean you have to be everybody's friend. It doesn't have to mean that you have to like everybody. It doesn't have to mean any of that. But you can take a stand in yourself and not divide from another, because there is no other. Ultimately, there is no other. So this is a very specific distinction that it's really important that we all get, because if you're taking a position of righteousness, or, I've got the view, whatever it is, you may have a view that you believe to be the correct view, but you don't have to take the position that I am the one with the correct view. You just have an opinion on something, and that's perfectly fine. But you don't need to take I am the one with the correct view and you are not the one with the correct view. It may be true that you have two diverse views, but you don't have to take a position of separation. So what that's called, it's like taking a position of no position, because you're taking a position that you have a particular view. But it's a position of no position because you're not taking a position of separation. You're taking a position like, I have this view. But if you don't take a position of separation, then you might find that you get more data that changes your view or reinforces your view. And that's the amazing thing, because then everything is constantly in flux, constantly changing, constantly alive, constantly engaged. There's no fixed position of separation being taken. So I think this next year, sometimes I feel very afraid about it, but as afraid as I might feel at different times of what might happen, I actually feel like, wow, okay, this is a huge opportunity if I actually walk my talk. So that's what it is for all of you guys. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying, if you understand in your own experience that there is no separation and you are always already free and happy, ultimately, and then you're a human being in a purification process, and that's all that's going on here. If you understand that and you make the effort to live that, you see, then something different can come forward. And what will be different is that love and light will come forward from you, opposed to a fixed position and an egoic pattern of aggression. Do you see what I'm saying? Can you feel like none of us really, we don't even have to know what we think about anything? I mean, we're not having a debate. If we were having a debate or we were having a dialogue about COVID or something, of course we would say what we think, but we're not. But the point I'm trying to make is we don't need to know. We could have completely opposite views on almost everything, but we're all here and we're all in the same conviction of freedom here and now and love and light. Nobody's on this webinar because they want to find out how to be more miserable and more angry, right? Doesn't, that's just the case. It's true, isn't it? I think that's what's amazing. So that's why we're here. That's what 2021 is about. That's what 2022 is about. That's what 2023 is about. And so on and so on and so on. It's never not about that. So we have our job assignment. All you got to do is go out and do it. And like I said, it could be very, very simple things like walking into a store and buying earphones for your phone. Or allowing yourself just to drive by yourself and have fun. Or allow yourself just to be happy. And even more importantly, allow the most important person in your life to be happy, even if you don't agree with them. You see, it's very challenging, but I know we can do it if we want to. So you'll find out how much you want to do it every moment. And the interesting thing is, I want to reemphasize this, it doesn't mean you have to be happy face, happy all the time. Sometimes it's going to be intense. Sometimes you're going to be angry. You just got to be willing to take the ride. And find out in every moment, oops, went a little off track here, coming back. Oh, yeah, I'm on track. This is good. Okay. So that's it. So why don't we just sit quietly for a few minutes and everybody kind of let that sink, and then we'll just come back and see where we go then. Okay, and just take a deep breath in and exhale. And when you're ready, you can just open your eyes. Okay. So we can just open it up for any kind of comments or questions. One thing I was noticing while I was talking, just looking at the different people on the screen, I think some of you don't know each other, but a lot of you have been on retreat with each other here and in different places. I was just looking at Tina, and then I think Maya and Tina were together on a retreat. I'm not sure, but maybe, Finn, just different people. I mean, you can all look, Lapo. So if you just look around, you might see people that you recognize and think, oh yeah. So there's some kind of bond we all have. And even if you don't know anybody and you're on this webinar, because there's people who are on the webinar that I think haven't been on retreat and they've been on the webinar before. You're in the webinar. You're in the webinar family. It's nice. And if you're brand new, you can be in any family you want, or you don't have to join. I'm not trying to recruit people, just so you know. So let's open this up and see. And people can say too, you can also talk about what you've learned in this year so far, if you want to, or what you're excited about.
I can say something.
Okay. Is that Chantal?
Yes.
Hello.
My English is not so good.
It's okay.
I have really trouble with people who don't recognize their pains from before. So from struggling from youth, being birth and so on. So from beyond, and then it's so difficult to talk with them because they are so defending because they don't want to feel the pain.
Right.
Maybe I'm somebody like that too.
Well, I think we all can be on both sides of that fence, right?
Yes.
So what do you think is the right, so what are you going to do then?
Understand them. And being really taking in the pain they feel, and also taking in how the struggle may feel, because they are not feeling the pain. They don't want to feel the pain.
Yeah, but I think the most important thing you said though, Chantal, just to start with, when you said I think I'm one of those people too.
Yes.
Right?
I don't want to feel the pain.
Yeah, but so then instead, I think the most important thing is then you just stay with your own experience. So here at the project, we always have the finger pointed here because we can always worry about those other people.
Yes.
And you recognize the pain that they're avoiding, but you also recognize that you also do the same thing.
Yes.
So then the only way to do something different is not to get them to do something different. It's for you in any given moment to allow yourself to feel even when you're afraid. So if you feel pain around a situation or some relationship or something, and you feel that, then just allow yourself to just stop and to feel, because that's the gateway.
And how can I get there? How can I get there? Because everything in my body says no. Everything in my body says no, don't go there. it's too much.
I know, but that's the whole point. So have you been on a webinar before?
Yes.
Okay.
One time.
One time, okay. Because this is where the whole teaching of the separate sense of self, or the old ego teaching, comes in. And so a very simple definition of ego, which is the part of you that thinks you're limited and you're separate. And
Yes.
a definition that you can also use is ego is the person that is the part of you, you could say. It's not a part of you, it's just a activity, but it feels like it's a part of you. So I'm going to talk to you in that way. But it's the part of you that basically just said, I can't, it's too much. That's the voice of ego. That's the voice of limitation in you. You are that which is prior to that voice. You are the one who recognizes that voice coming out of your mouth. And you can recognize that voice as a voice that's keeping you trapped and limited, unhappy, and afraid.
Don't believe what you think.
Well, you don't have to, you're not what you think. That's what most people, it's like, I have a thought that says, I can't. I have a sensation in the body that says, I can't, it's too much. And that's the moment that I was talking about, where you feel like you're at your limit. But that's the moment you don't have to do anything. You just don't retreat. You don't back down. You just say, okay, it's too much. I feel like I'm freaking out right now, but I'm not going to move. I'm not going to run away. You don't have to manufacture that moment. That moment will come. And in that moment, when you recognize you want to run away, you just don't. You don't know what you're supposed to do. You just know what you're not supposed to do. You just don't run away. And when you allow yourself to do that, that's what I was talking about. You end up opening up to that, a whole world.
Yes, I know that I will open up to the world, but I'm so scared because I will not have breath anymore. And so on.
You will not have what?
Breathing.
Yeah, you think it's going to kill you?
Yes.
Okay, but here's the thing. If you think that you are the separate sense of self, and that's what everybody thinks, the identification is, I am that which is limited. I cannot take any more pain. I cannot go there. My body says no. If you identify with that, and you also have a pull to go beyond that idea, which you do because you're on this webinar, you have that pull.
Yes, very much.
Okay, so then the part of you that's basically saying, no, I can't do it, it's too much, it's just ego. And if you're identified with ego, you're going to feel like you're going to die.
Yes.
Okay, but it's not, you're not going to die. The only thing that's going to die is your idea that you're a separate self that thinks it's going to die. But if you're identified with that as like, that's who I am, you're going to feel like I'm going to die. But all of that, it's just a thought that says I'm going to die. It's nothing. It doesn't have any value. It doesn't have any reality. Pain is not going to kill you. Feeling pain is going to liberate you.
Yes. And I already did it, experienced it before.
Well, there you go. Then you know it's true in your own experience.
Yes, I know it's true.
Well, then the only thing you got to do then is you got to just keep not moving when you're afraid. And you've already done it. So you already know it in your own experience. So you have everything you need, Chantal. And this is where a lot of people get to. It's like, yes, I have everything I need. And then it's like, oh shit, that means I could be free in every moment and I have no more excuses of being a victim. Oh shit, I'm in real trouble now. Okay, that's what we all come up against. That's what we all come up against. But then you just look at that whole dialogue that I just did, and that's the voice of the ego going, oh, we don't want to, I don't want to lose control of this body mind named Chantal. I don't want her to realize that I'm just an illusion. It's not really true. I'm not, Chantal's not limited. Chantal doesn't have to live a life of fear. But if I let her actually understand that, my whole game is over. And that's
It's
what you're
just
up
like-
against. But if you're identified with ego, you're going to be afraid to give up the game because you're afraid you're going to die. And I'm just saying, take the risk. And you've already done it. It sounds like once or more than once. You've already done it.
Yes.
So you know what I'm saying is true. So you just have to
Yes.
keep doing it.
And it's just like I just need one step to take. One step. That's
Exactly.
no more. Only one step.
Right. And then you take the next step. And then, so that's perfect because you can't, there's not, it's about living. It's about being purified. You take one step. You can't do anything other than take the next step. You can't take a step, 10 years from now. You can only take a step now.
Yeah.
So there you go. So you know what you need to do. And, but the hard part is, and this is for everybody, a lot of the times you just don't want to do it because you don't want to give up the position of the separate sense of self that you know yourself to be. You feel comfortable with it, even though you hate it. You feel comfortable with it and you're in your comfort zone. It's all good. And then every once in a while you poke your head out and you say, okay, I'm going to stick my head out of the swamp for a few minutes. Ooh, this is amazing. Woo-hoo. Oop, okay, I'm going back in.
Can I say something?
Yes.
My situation is not that good. I am in anger, very much anger. I feel very much verdriet. How do you say that in English? Verdriet.
What language is that?
Nederlands.
Sadness.
Oh,
Sadness.
Dutch.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not so good, my situation.
No, your situation is no different than anybody else's situation because ego is the same in everybody. Everybody's got an angry ego in there. Everybody's got a victimized ego in there. And I'm saying in there, it's not like that. It's like a thought arises and you make it mean something about a separate self, that doesn't really exist. And then all of a sudden you've got a problem that's special more than anybody else and your situation is worse. And some people have worse situations than others for sure. But it doesn't really matter because your situation is your situation. It's the one you've got. So it means it's the one you need to transcend. And if yours is worse than mine, it's like just the way it is. If mine is worse than yours, it's just the way it is.
It doesn't matter.
It does?
It doesn't.
Exactly. So you're saying a lot of good stuff. So you just got to drop this position that you can't. And I can't do, nobody can do that for you. And you can't do it once. You have to do it, like you say, step by step by step. That's how we all have to do it.
And I want it so much. I will. But that's just the problem. You cannot will it. You just do it.
Exactly. So the thing you have to take out of your vocabulary, and then I want to move on because of time.
Yeah,
You have to take out the phrase "I can't," and you have to take out the phrase "yeah, but." Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, that's your practice.
Thank you.
And everybody else can do that too, because it's like, I can't, yeah, but. It's like, those are the two famous egoic phrases that everybody uses when they're afraid or they don't want to change.
It's bullshit.
Exactly. There you go. We're together.
Thank you.
Welcome. Good. Okay. So everybody can relate to what Chantal said, right? Even everybody that knows all about ego, you can still relate to it because the experience is the same. The egoic experience is always the same for everybody. It's nothing special. Just the way it is. Okay, who else wants to talk? It's also good just if you've learned something, like I said, in 2021, or if you're excited about something or whatever, it doesn't matter. But how many people, just to say, how many people are excited about something new and just something new happening. How many is excited? I mean, you're not on this call because you want something new, right? And when I say new, I mean free. Because what's free, what's newer than freedom? Because free is free in every moment. It's new, it's ever new, ever new, ever new, ever new. Even if you're surrounded by the same people, even if you're in the same job, doesn't matter. It's how you relate to it. Hi, Maya. Cool.
Hello.
Hello.
I don't exactly know what I want to say, but I think it's a mixed feeling of I'm excited, I think, to discover this. I think it's the first time that I'm really having this dive into the unknown, but in a completely new way.
Mm-hmm.
With all the security that is, I feel like there's all the biggest fear of losing so many things, of really not knowing where we're going, having a lot of sadness about just the state of the world, and like having so many overwhelming feelings. But I can see how it's all, like you said so well, I'm having this resistance of being here at this time. I'm like, I want to run away on another planet. Why am I here?
Right.
I did not sign up for this, but I know I did. And it's such a, I have this, like, I don't want to be here right now. This is not the world I want. It's really not that. And at the same time, I know that this is it. This is like the biggest practice, like the live your talk. This is it. And I think I'm realizing that that I've lived a lot with the projection in the future. And I thought I was not living that, but I realize now that I was still, because now there's like, I can only see one day at a time, because I have no clue where we're going.
Right.
And it's so scary, and it's so strange and completely, overwhelming. But at the same time, it's like this, since you don't know, and it's this, I can see that it's a liberation, but I'm not there yet, because it's still a lot. But I'm excited to, I think, discover this real freedom.
Right. So you could see the perfection, right? Because didn't you you described it perfectly. I don't want to be here, but I'm here. There's all this fear. I'm completely overwhelmed. But you're also aware of that fear, and you're also aware of that overwhelm, and you're excited about something new. So you can't, it's like the way it works is you just end up being squeezed, and it's never enough until it's too much. Because it's in that moment of too muchness that something has to either fall back or break through. And so what you're describing is like, this is why you could look at it like, without romanticizing the situation, that this is perfect. It's the perfect ground to wake up, because it's so extreme. And it forces confrontation about you. There's less place to hide now.
Yeah, and I know it in my core. That's why I can like say it, but that I can also see so much this movement of the ego that wants to dramatize so much.
Right. But even that, you see, even that, you're aware of that. That's what's important.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't matter, and you have to remember this, it doesn't matter what's arising in your awareness. The presence of a thought that says, oh, I so much want to dramatize this. It's just a thought that's arising right now. It means nothing about you. But you see that thought, you think it means something about you. just because there's a presence of a thought. This is like the nub of the whole thing. And so I can take it down to this very simple relationship to thought, just in how you described it, because it means absolutely nothing about you. Who you are is already free and happy. And there's a program playing out that's just a conditioned pattern of ego. So here you are, and there's a conditioned pattern playing out that you're aware of. So are you that which is aware, or are you going to create a character from assuming that this conditioned pattern is who you are?
Yeah.
But that's what we do, right? That's the purification process, because we all basically have created a character out of this habitual pattern of ego, whatever it is. You know, you have women's conditioning, you have, you know, you're from Switzerland, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have Swiss conditioning, you know, you're a certain age, everything. It's, you see, but we're so convinced that we are this pattern, and all of these patterns that are playing out, we're so convinced that's who we are. We actually feel obligated to continue to play the character. It's almost like I have to play that character because that's who I am. I have to do that, because if I don't do that, who will I be? But you just have to look at it very scientifically, that it's just a pattern playing out. And that pattern needs to be made obsolete out of not engaging with it. The only way that you can make this pattern become obsolete is if you don't continue to fuel it with your own attention. That's how you do it. But the thing is when you start waking up, because I know you came on the retreat in 2018, 2017?
Yeah, like 4 years ago, something like that.
Okay, so maybe 2017. But you see, you saw through this pattern on this retreat. I remember. It was very, very clear. And then you kind of disappeared for a while, but here you are, right? Here you are. So, but this thing is you just see that this pattern is just a pattern. And if you're aware of a pattern, you are not the pattern. It's like watching a program. You know, you don't go on, you know, Google and use the search engine or whatever and think you're Google. But there's another thought that comes up, and there's a pattern that plays out, and you think it's you, and it's not you. But the process of purification is to be able to just make the effort or sacrifice that separate sense of self step by step, sacrificing it moment to moment. So when it arises and you think, oh God, I'm always wanting to dramatize everything. You see, in that moment, you just go, well, okay, that may be true, but I don't have to do that anymore. It doesn't mean anything about you right now. Maybe you've done it all the time before, but it doesn't mean it's who you are now.
And I do have like, because when I say dramatize, there is also this, like, really now it's more also like I feel like it's a survival. It also is touching so much on like the security and so many it's not only just air, like there are, of course, the mind can go into that, but it's also a survival. I feel like the mind is being in the survival, so mechanism of like, for some moments freaking out, what the hell is going on, and it goes into all the things I could lose, and what if there's what if I'm on the street? And it goes into that story, and it's that story that can be hard to, I know it's just a story, but it's a strong one, because it's
So it's, you know, it's a story, and it's a strong story. So you're aware it's a story and you're aware that you think it's a strong story. So what? It's just a pattern playing out. You see, so you can describe it very clearly, but what you have to do is within your own self, you have to decide, do I want to perpetuate the story with my own activity by engaging with it, by defending it, by telling me why it's so hard, by telling yourself why it's so hard? Do I want to continue to feed it, or do I just want to go, God, look at that? Like you said, it's just a story. But you could also say it's just a story that I really believe is me, because that's the truth right now. But then you can also say, well, is that really true? Because the truth will set you free. And sometimes you have to just acknowledge that you think you're the story. And if you just acknowledge it, go, God, I really think I'm the story. I think I'm the character. I think I'm the thought. I think that I am what I think. See, and if everybody just acknowledges that, which is probably true for a lot of the time, then the truth can set you free, because in that moment you just go, wow, I think I'm that thought. Wow. You see, and in that moment you've just liberated yourself from that story. And that's really why meditation practice is really so important. And it has to be a regular practice, because otherwise you're just too engaged with the mind because it's so habitual. But if you have a regular practice where you sit and you let the mind just do what the mind does, you see, then you start to get more space. And everybody who's been on a retreat or done meditation before, you know what I'm saying is true. And then what's the first thing that goes when you start stressing out? It's your meditation practice usually. So that's very convenient for the ego, isn't it?
Yeah, or not, because I feel like for me, it's more since I want to escape. In some ways, it's going in meditation is so liberating, because it's like the only thing right now that is connecting me to something that is unchanging and stable.
Right. So that's not an escape.
Yeah, but
No, but the way you're looking at it, so is it a bad thing that you're escaping from something that's not true?
no.
I mean, isn't that what you want? To be to be liberated from your mind?
Yeah.
And if you actually able to meditate and recognize that's what happens in meditation, that's great. But then you also have to be able to take what happens in meditation into your life. So a lot of times what will happen is there's certain people that have a very difficult time meditating because they're so addicted to their minds, right? And there's others people who have a very easy time meditating, but they're very addicted to not being free. So they don't take their meditation into their life. So whatever is what you're recognizing in your meditation is bringing, it's like the doors of perception open and you're seeing reality. And so when you get off the cushion, then you have to look and you say, why am I having a different relationship to my mind when I'm meditating than when I'm moving around? Why is it that I'm free when I meditate, and when I'm not, a thought arises that says I'm dramatic and I go with it?
Can I say something about this or not? Sorry.
Probably not, because we only got 3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you though. But the thing is, Maya, you see, it's like you have to make more effort to live what you understand, because you understand quite a lot, and you can listen to this recording when Laura sends it, and you'll be able to see that you actually have understanding. You just have to be willing to live what you understand. And you probably do. You probably have changed over the years and you have different relationship, but then you have to get more serious about it. Don't mess around, because you're not getting any younger. Okay, so it's really up to you what you want to do, but why did you come on the webinar tonight? Because I haven't seen you for a long time.
I think the longing to feel connected to people that understand this, and
Right,
yeah, connection.
right. So you want that connection more than you want to be afraid, or more than you want to be dramatic.
Absolutely, that's all
Right.
I want. Yeah.
Okay. So then make sure you keep engaging, by coming on the webinar. But in between time, I haven't seen your mom for a while either. So, you guys should get together and have a heart to heart about what you really care about. But just do whatever you can do. It's kind of like you have to brainwash yourself into God. So what I mean by that is, don't waste time brainwashing yourself full of stuff that is only going to take you deeper into the world of unreality. Spend your time listening to different things that are going to take you, where you go when you're in meditation. Meditate more. But the reason why I'm using the word brainwashed in a different way is because we do have to wash the brain from all the conditioning that we're habitually being bombarded with, either subliminally, but also through our own choice of just wanting to check out and avoid the intensity. And sometimes it's fine to do that too. But, it's like we become what we meditate on. And I'm not just talking about meditation sitting on the cushion. It's like we become where we put our attention. So if you're putting your attention on unhappiness or putting your attention on problem, then that's what you're going to get. But if you recognize that's what you're putting your attention on, and you just go, wow, I don't need to do that. What else is going on right now? So everybody has, you want to give yourself and your attention to that which pulls on your heart, that which pulls you up. Laura is going to be doing a retreat in New Year's time. It's going to be part meditation. She's doing the meditation part, and then there's a woman named Yuta who's doing the yoga part. So it's going to be different than the retreats that I've done in the past, but it's going to be good. So it's a good way to spend your New Year's, December 27th to January 3rd. It's on the website. See, I just did it for you, Laura. So everybody, it's great to spend time on the holiday time doing a retreat. Yeah, so some of you guys have been on that retreat. Okay, so I think I'm over time now, so I like to finish somewhat on time. I can't tell you how nice it is. I have to say, just seeing everybody and being on this webinar, I've had a tough couple of months, and I needed the time off, but I'm just super happy that I did this one. It would have been very easy for me not to do it, and I'm so happy that I did. So I'm really appreciative that you guys showed up, because otherwise it'd be me and Laura. So anyway, let's open up the microphones. Oh, do you need to say something first, Laura? How do we do this? I don't remember.
I will just say that I will send out the recordings in an email over the next few days, as soon as they're uploaded. And I'll send details of the New Year's retreat in case anyone's interested. And also just to say that Cynthia does these webinars and always has done by donation. So I will also send details of how you can donate if you feel inspired.
Yeah, and one thing I want to tell you guys, because I've done the schedule, our schedule for next year, I'm just finishing it up. And I think the webinars are going to have to switch to the second Wednesday of every month. But we'll let you know. It's just that with the scheduling, the first doesn't work. And in February, I'm actually going to be in Colombia for a month in February. So we probably won't have a webinar unless I can do it from there, which I'm not sure. So make sure you come next month, because you never know what's going to happen. Okay. All right. Should we open up the microphones for everybody? So happy to see you guys.
Happy to see you too. Welcome back.
Yeah. Thanks, Albert. One day I'm going to come to New York and hang out with you.
I'll be here 4 more months, so do it after Columbia.
Where are you going at? Where are you going after 4 months?
I'm waiting for the world to tell me.
You're
I
waiting
have
for
no
what?
idea. I'm waiting for the cosmos to tell me. There's
Oh,
no
I'll let you
plan.
know. I'll send you an email, let you know where you're supposed to go.
Okay, I look forward to it. Thank you.
You know, I'm
Portugal.
the cosmos just as much as anybody else is.
Hey, you inspired me on this webinar, so you know.
I know. That's why you should come and hang out with me.
Yeah, we'd make good travelers.
Yeah, we could have fun. Okay. Anybody else? You guys are very quiet tonight.
Well, yes, I would like to say hello. Can you hear me, Cynthia?
It's great to see you, Tina.
No, oh, here, my microphone. I forgot my microphone. It was great to hear you again, and I hope you're doing well. I think very often of you, and it was very nice
Thank you.
to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm doing good. You know, I'm doing really good. I just, you know, it's not easy for me this year, but I feel really good. Very
Great.
good. Yeah.
Bye.
So you guys, when I put the schedule out, I think everybody should come at least on the 10-day retreat so we can all be together. That would be great.
Yeah.
Not until August, so you have time to plan. And Marcio, you're coming in January, so we'll see you soon.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
He's going to do his thesis on us.
The what?
I think it's your thesis, right?
Yeah, my